We're there, 1 minute over. All right, we'll call our meeting to order officially. And good to see each of you who are present. I guess I'll turn my mic on. Good to see each of you who are present and accounted for. And we're now into our welcome and introductions phase. And but it gets sunny outside and everybody's doing whatever they're doing. Meetings get slim here and everywhere, sort of, kind of. But anyway, we're here, and I am Pastor Leon the First River of the Desert Community Church here in Anchorage, and one of the co-chairs of this committee.
Hi everybody, I'm Thea Agnew Benben, and I'm the other co-chair. Lori.
Right, Ms. Lori.
Hi, I'm Lori Pickett with Alaska Literacy Program.
Asher Harley with Congregation Shalom.
Celeste Grouden with the Alaska Black Caucus.
Yes, and of course, Ms. Jasmine Akers is in the house. And we'll go on to our online portal with Ms. Heather.
Hi, Heather Ireland with Anchorage School-Based Health Centers.
Alrighty, who else is that?
Joan.
Joan. Ms. Joan.
Hi, this is Joan Ryan Estelle with MRASES, the Health Inequitables Community Unit with the state of Alaska.
Hi, Joan. All right, Ms. Mara.
Hi, Mara Kimmel with the ACLU of Alaska.
And sorry for the Mara, it's Mara.
No,
okay.
that's whatever. I answer to everything.
I'll try to remember that it's Mara instead of Mara. Okay.
No problem.
All right. So I think we have everyone accounted for at this particular point, and we'll move to the land labor announcement.
Thank you so much. I'd like to take this moment so that we recognize that we are on the indigenous lands of the Dena'ina people. And I think about how grateful I am that my Alaska Native family has so warmly welcomed me and taught me so many lessons, and the stewardship and the love of the land and what that means to their family and to all of us who have come here and been so warmly welcomed, who live, work, and play on this land. And I appreciate everybody letting me have this moment to celebrate what's so just absolutely amazing and brings me so much gratitude. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Ms. Lori, for that. And we'll move right on to unfinished business, which Change Lab legal analysis is listed, but it's tabled for a later date, which means we can move right into our new business. Do we have any new member nominations? Alrighty, then not hearing any of those, then we'll move to community or data presentation and discussion. And Thea is going to share with us in the continuation of the discussion regarding alcohol tax strategic plan.
Just need to look at those notes. Sorry. I just want to give a quick update on the strategic plan and also to share a little bit of information related to some of the things that we talked about last time when we were talking about the strategic plan. So 1 second, just let me find my notes that I wanted to share with you.
While she's looking, I just want to share, I know that some people who might have been at this meeting are still at the Refugee Resettlement Conference, the first one that's happened in the state of Alaska ever. And it was 2 really wonderful days, and it's pretty cool that we have the Office of Refugee Resettlement Director from Washington, D.C. here, and some of the staff from those departments as well. So pretty big deal for Alaska.
Thank you for sharing that. And
Okay, I got it.
will help with the upcoming updates.
Great. Okay, so first, just a kind of quick update on the process. We've been doing, Tanya came and gave a presentation, and we had a good discussion last meeting about the alcohol tax strategic plan. So really from the Betty Davis Summit, which was in February until just this last week, we've been doing that community engagement. And so now we've prepared a big summary of that. We've also had a community survey going, which you all hopefully filled out and shared with other people, so we've been compiling those results. And so now we have a steering committee meeting on Friday, which Celeste and others will be at, to review the latest draft. The draft really pulls from all of the input that we've gotten so far. And then I got some really good feedback from the legislative affairs folks here at the Muni about trying to make it more action-oriented and easier to use. So I did a rework of it this week to try and get to that place. What I wanted to share with this group is that when we talked as a group, there was a lot of discussion, and it's also part of our priority for the year to really make it easier for organizations to apply for and receive and manage funding that comes from the municipality, and specifically through the health department, which not all of alcohol tax revenues have gone through the health department, but a fair bit of them have. And so part of the community engagement process that we've done on that project was to interview folks at the health department, as well as the purchasing manager and the OMB director. And so it was a good conversation that we had with them, because it helps, it's always good to hear all sides, right? And I think what's happened, especially in the last 3 years, and this is, specific to the alcohol tax, but I think it's broader than that. There just hasn't been very clear kind of timelines and processes mapped out, prior to things being allocated and kind of agreed to with community partners. And so that's left folks at the health department kind of not knowing what process to follow, and being really understaffed for how many, just the volume of money that they've been trying to get out the door. And so that was really their feedback, that they also need a clear process, clear rules. They've heard a lot of the feedback. They made it really clear that they really believe in equity. They really want that. And they are really kind of hemmed in by, on some sides, like lack of processing clarity, and then on others by rules that are, as you all know, can be really onerous, especially for smaller organizations. And so a lot of that now has been kind of packaged into this draft plan to try and address all of those types of concerns on both sides. So I just wanted to give you an update, basically, and then open the floor. We don't even have to talk about this very long if people don't want to, because we talked about it last time. But if there were any other questions or thoughts or concerns people wanted to bring to that process, as we kind of go into this final phase, because we're going to have a steering committee meeting tomorrow, and then 2 Fridays from now we'll have a work session with the assembly that'll be publicly noticed, and then after that we'll kind of finalize that plan, and it'll start going through the assembly's regular public review process. So that's what I want to share.
Alrighty, I have, I guess one question would be for me is, relative to the interview, who all were part of that interview?
We had Tamaya, who is one of the main grant managers. I think she oversees that department. Is that right, Lori?
She's one that I've worked with who seems to be there the longest.
Yeah, she's worked, I think she said, through like 4 administrations. Yeah, we had her. We had Val, who is also at the health department, has kind of been brought in to help with the grants. That's not kind of her main area. And then we had the gentleman who's, I think, the director of OMB, or at least part of that office. And then we also had Rachel Alger, who's the procurement director, but she had to leave early, and she was kind of, I think maybe, she was on teams, but not, I think she might have been having to do a couple things at the same time. So we didn't hear too much from her. So that was a group.
Okay, so now.
Oh, and Kim Rush, the director.
And who?
Kim Rush, the director. Yeah.
So my only other question would be, this particular interview process was regarding the strategic alcohol tax plan per se. Did we make any inroads, since you had some of the health department people gather their inquiry or whatever about what we talked about having them meet with us
Yeah,
regarding our annual priority, not so much the tax plan.
that's where I've fallen short and I haven't made that inquiry yet,
Okay.
so no.
Questions? Was it Joan?
Yeah, and actually, most of my questions were asked by Pastor May, but I still have one remaining. So I've been out of Alaska, and I don't know if I have missed any emails, but was there like an email sent out for this alcohol tax committee to do this interviews?
No, I mean, we've really just been using our steering committee to reach out to folks and go to events. So we've been participating in public events as well as doing these kind of focus groups. But Joan, is there someone that you would like to have us interview? Because we could do that still.
No, I was just curious because when you started, I felt so out of the loop that I thought that I missed an email saying, hey, there's this, we're gonna do this interview but if it has been a steering committee that I'm not part of, that's okay. That was it. I got, yeah. And I've been out, so maybe I have missed a lot of stuff. So I apologize for that.
Well, when Tanya came and presented last time, that was also kind of an invitation, for groups for us to do further discussion with.
And just for a little clarity, Joan, you are correct. Basically, the strategic alcohol tax plan, Thea and one of her coworkers brought the perspective from the group that they've assembled, which is Agnew Beck and the steering committee and some other partners that are coming up with a strategic plan and to present to the municipality from what I'm understanding. And that's per se not our committee work at this point. That was just something that they were broaching to us. But we did have, and my second question was, we did want to meet with the health department sometime this year.
Yeah, perfect. I think it's great. Thank you for all of that.
Welcome.
So I just have, a clarification,
Go ahead.
and that is it Tamaya?
Tamaya.
She's the administration manager.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Lori.
So I'm curious, so if the health department is asking, also saying that they need clear guidance, it seems to me like we encounter when we're working on advocacy issues that there are sometimes actual barriers and then there are sometimes just perceived barriers. And I'm sorry I didn't serve on it. I was frustrated when I saw the RFP come out that it was so long, and I had some struggles with the health department, so I didn't apply. So I didn't feel like I was able to really give much input. But I'd be really curious if one of the main goals is to make it the least restrictive as possible, including eliminating perceived barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the things to that point, and that I heard in your discourse a minute ago, Thea, was relative to the granting and some of the questions that they had relative to that process. I think that would step over into some of the things that we want to communicate with them about as far as our annual plan with the health department.
Yeah.
So that'll be something we could address directly, with them kind of,
Well, and I can share that just the chatter out there right now, because there's been different grants that have gone so painful for the nonprofit community. There needs to be a lot of work done to build up trust so that nonprofits even want to apply, for fear of what that process will look like if they continue to be understaffed and taxed with. It's hard to give out money and then have one person trying to navigate that. So hopefully there'll be work done. The staffing will become appropriate, and then there will be community work done to rebuild trust from the agency level.
All right, any further questions for Thea?
I do, again, sorry, this is Joan. So was, and I know, yeah, you mentioned it a little bit, do you guys talk a little bit about this committee trying to also work with them on the health department stuff?
That's what I was asking a minute ago, and I think Thea said that she had not scheduled that yet.
No, yes, but was there a mention of it?
No, not at that interview, no.
Absolutely, okay.
Yeah, because we didn't just have health department people there, we also had the OMD folks and purchasing, and Tanya led the conversation with them, and we wanted to keep everyone focused on the questions that we were asking.
Thank you.
But relative to that, the plan is at some point schedule them to come in and sit with our committee and go forward with our annual plan.
And Thea, we want to be respectful of your separate roles too. Like that
Right.
seems like that might not have been the right time to speak from this committee. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. There's two separate things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
I just wanted to bring back that information to you because it's part of this public process, but it was very pertinent to all the things that this committee brought up when we were talking about it, so.
All right, anyone else have any questions regarding that?
This is Heather. This is somewhat unrelated, but I'm going to paste in the chat. My daughter's applying for jobs and is looking for this job in Maine. And for the state of Maine, at the bottom of the application, it was like, we want to hire people from diverse groups, and we hope that, if you're reading this, you should apply, kind of thing. And I feel like something similar could be relevant from the health department of like, they need to reach out and be support diverse, non-traditional funders, applicants to possibly get funding. So, sorry, I'll put it in here. I think I got it. But anyways, I just feel like it kind of could be good feedback for them of something that, a way that they communicate to others about getting more people to apply.
Yeah, that's also something that could be presented to them in the name of equity, for sure.
Yeah, but I also feel like the last round, it really helped that they had a set of money for smaller organizations and support to help them apply.
And so I just want to add to that, and that is great that they have that attached and smaller organizations can apply, but when you have the rules in there that say, you have to use your funding first and then get reimbursed, or, your insurance has to have the cyber security, it kind of conflicts with one another. So while you're out there soliciting, and you put at a tag that says, we encourage diverse groups to apply, but yet in the language and the grant itself, there's the conflicting pieces that we're not able to secure because we are not able to have $100,000 up front to pay, or money's up front to pay first and then get reimbursed. I mean, it's just frustrating. Thanks.
Yeah, process need to be looked at. Yeah. Alrighty. We've had, who is the next person that came in?
Maria Hussein.
Alrighty, Maria, would you like to say good evening to us?
Yes, of course. Good evening to all of you. Sorry I'm late.
Alrighty, glad to have you. Alright, any further questions, commentary for Thea on this topic matter?
Can I ask one more?
Sure.
Do you feel like there's energy for change?
The thing that has come out to me most strongly is that to make municipal government work, you really need the assembly doing its job and the administration doing its job, and they need to really work together. And I think because of COVID and since then, we've gotten into this situation where the two do not really behave like one entity, and they are. That's, the municipality is both those things. And what's happened with the alcohol tax, this is just my perspective having just worked on this project a bit, is that it came into being 3 years ago. So it's only existed in this climate, and we need to get to a place where there's some real leadership around not the funding itself, but around the things it's trying to address, which are community safety and well-being. I mean, if you think of the things it goes towards, it's public safety, child abuse, neglect, sexual assault, domestic violence, behavioral health, and homelessness. So it's kind of our core issues that are really around people's safety and well-being. And there needs to be some real vision and leadership around those issues. And as we all know, you cannot address those issues without also addressing issues of inequity. So to me, that's what's needed, is like, where's the like vision and leadership and kind of compelling dialogue? And it can't just be on one side or the other, it has to be the two working together, because the administration has to be, skilled and, all the things we've noticed. They've got to be there doing their part, and the assembly's got to be in their lane and not trying to jump over into the other lane. Right now, there's a lot of confusion, and that seems like it's really hampered efforts. And so I think the more we can get onto that path again, where, people are in their lanes but really working well together, that's what's needed.
Yeah, sounds great. And there needs to be some synergy between the groups, but and I guess that there also is a unique balancing act that goes along with that, because when you have the executive or the administrative arm and then the legislative arm, they counterbalance each other, and they are checks and balances to against both sides is how it's normally set up. But there still can be some effective synergy between the two that gets things accomplished. Yeah. Anyone else? All right, not hearing any other questions. Thank you, Ms. Thea, for the updating and what have you. And we'll move right along. Do we have any committee updates?
Got a bunch, I think, right?
Got what?
I feel like there's a lot, actually. There's so much going on. Do you want to start with the refugee?
I shared a little bit, but there's been 2 days of the resettlement conference put on by Catholic Social Services that has happened, and that's the first time, and that was really amazing. And one of the things that I found really powerful was being in the room with a bunch of people that I don't think Alaska Literacy Program is siloed. And what I was noticing on a higher level was that we are really aware of each other's services, but where we are still siloing that's really impacting our power is what issues we're kind of spending extra time and energy working on. What we see the same barriers around things like, I know everybody's tired of hearing me say it, but language access, or perceived barriers around what education is needed to do what jobs, to move into things, and how somebody's working really hard and makes a breakthrough around housing, but we would all benefit if we were really working together and aware on our advocacy pieces. And I just also spent 3 days in meetings in Juneau just doing my legislative touching bases, and come back to find out that 3 other agencies had also sort of separately, and we didn't work together on similar issues that we're looking at for the state, where we could have so I think there's a lot of room for, if we really, what the discussion is, if funding happened where we recognize the importance of working on improving systems, that somebody was coordinating, because it's a lot of work. And so I just felt hopeful about that maybe there's a way that we could really find our power in our collective. Also, a lot of work is being done on the New Alaskans Hub, and we're excited. We should have something that we can share. We're really hoping to have like an asset mapping or an arrival journey map of what it's like, and identify where some of the real gaps are in those services for new arrivals. And one of the, I think, really powerful things that came out of that is recognizing that
new arrivals can be for generations because it might be the first time you're accessing the system. The new arrivals themselves might not be going to the university, but supporting first generation children in entering the university could be something that happens 15, 20, 30 years later, depending on when people arrive. And Navoin does a really good job of sort of showing that it's like the new arrival to that point in the system through potentially generations and impacting others. And we have our big Scrabble event on Saturday. It's a Scrabbler's Scramble for Literacy, but it's really word games. We still have some openings. Unfortunately, it conflicts with the Alaska Center's big event, and their date was first. I'm friends with those EDs. Please, if that's your traditional event to attend, go to them. But if not, and you're looking for something fun to do, teams of 4 play word games, and it's a lot of fun. And it's at Our Lady of Guadalupe, and I can give a link out if somebody is interested in that. It's a lot of fun. I don't know, we've surpassed more than 1,000 students this fiscal year for ALP. That number for most of my 28 years had not surpassed ever 500. So it's a little bit crazy,
Wow, that's
the amount of students we have. But we do expect a really heartbreaking loss of maybe a couple hundred students due to the ending of the Affordability Connectivity Program, which surprised me in when talking with legislators in Juneau, how there's not a lot of information that the program exists, how many people, how many households in Alaska use it, which is closer to 26,000 households, which are potentially even doubled up families, right? So in the state are on that program and are potentially losing their internet and their home internet in the next few weeks. And we as a state chose to give an internet service provider more than $400 million to improve infrastructure and didn't attach a requirement for a low-income plan. And I think we can be more strategic in some of how we do business as a state, but that's my personal view. Yeah, so that's just sort of my what's in my brain right now, since it felt like we had time in the meeting. Thanks, everyone.
All righty. Yes.
I have an update, something I've been working on along with others. Heather's also part of this. There is a bill that's actually getting some traction in the legislature that would expand the ability of schools to provide Medicaid services to all Medicaid enrolled students, not only those that have a disability and an individual education plan. And so this would be a real expansion in what type of services, but just it would really create access to care for a lot of students right now who don't necessarily have a place to go for some of the services that schools might be able to offer. And it would be something that would change that all over the state. So it could potentially allow schools to provide those services and bill for them in different areas. So that's kind of exciting. And if anybody wants to be part of putting in a letter of support or anything like that, just let me know and I can point you in the right direction. The Children's Trust has been kind of the hub for the stakeholder engagement on that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thea. Mara?
Nicely done, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
So I wanted to just ditto a little bit of what Lori was saying in terms of the need for more structured collaboration between organizations. And I was bummed I couldn't go to the refugee symposium, so congratulations to all the organizers of that. I did just return from Welcoming Interactive, which is the big national gathering where it's held by Welcoming America every year. And when I first started attending those events, there were 40 people in attendance, and now there are over 800, and they're expecting 1,000 next year in Detroit, Michigan. And Detroit is one of our partners in the set up shop work that the ACLT organization does. So I would urge us to think about figuring out if we can attend or send somebody to attend next year as well. And then I think One question I had, and I'm not sure if Assemblymember Rivera is in the room, but if there's any update to our efforts to become certified welcoming, I would love to hear about that. And then I think my last point is, again, going back to Lori's comment, I think it's really important, and I don't know how we do this, but I want to put it out there, that we figure out a way to create at least maybe a position who can do all of the work that Lori was describing in terms of connecting organizations so we can all be paddling in the same direction and together and strengthening our power together. And that was originally, I think, the vision for the Chief Equity Officer. So I'm hopeful that we can consider the structures that currently exist in our community to address the gaps that we have in terms of our ability to come together as a collective and to collaborate, and start to think about exercising that kind of muscle a little stronger. And I was really motivated again by the Welcoming America Interactive. And I was the only one from Alaska there this time. In previous years, Felix had been there as well. So again, it just made me realize I haven't heard much about the certification process, and I'd love to hear if anybody else on the line has.
Okay, thank you, Myra. Has anybody else heard anything relative to that?
I have not heard one thing, and it seems like that's kind of the case for several things. I mean, we introduce it and then, but I know that we talked a lot about it and we were hoping to somehow be involved, and that's it.
I can just share that I think where that sits, which is similar to the language access, is that we, looked at the process, absolutely want to support it, but really need someone in the administration who can do the work, because it's actually a lot of work to get that certification completed. So of course, our Chief Equity Officer is the candidate for that. And I know that we, kind of threw that over there, and I think did not get a yes response back. That said, Pastor Ray, do you want to share about your email with Junior about him?
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to Joan?
Yes, I only have this Saturday, we have the Dia del Niño event. Also, there are a bunch of events this Saturday. It's going to be at Government Hill Elementary School from 12 to 4, and it's going to be with the multicultural event of the school. They're celebrating their 30 years. And we're going to give free vaccinations for the kiddos, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we have that event. And then on May 11th, we have our Women Empowerment event at Cafecito Bonito. And we always invite a bunch of women to join us, and we're going to have a speaker join us as well that day. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the updates. And Hannah, it's good to have you come to the meeting. And would you like to say good evening to us? Can you hear me, Pamela? All right. Maybe she's otherwise engaged. And
sorry, I was crossing road.
okay.
What was the
Yeah.
question again? I'm sorry.
Just wondered if you wanted to say good evening to us since you did come into the meeting.
Oh, hello, I am Pamela Starusi, and I am in being a part of this committee and wanting to be part of the solution to a huge problem.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for coming. All right. Any other updates?
So I have
Yes.
several updates, and I see Thea pointing over at me, but she was actually the cheerleader. And a couple of them, as we continue to deal with whole health, there's
Having pulled the pom-poms out.
yes, big cheerleader. I know where she was back in the day. But at any rate, we had several events, a Healing Through Art event for our young people. That was on April the 20th, and then we had Family Matters as we connected with families on April the 19th. We've got so many different events and programming coming up. We've got the mayoral runoff forum happening this Sunday at the Nave from 7 to 8:15 or 8:30, so please be sure to stop by. And we're going to be definitely addressing issues surrounding the BIPOC communities, because you know, sometimes you go to these forums and there are questions about all the great things and stuff that's happening out there, but there's limited times when you start talking about issues and concerns that we're concerned about within the BIPOC community and equity and all of these other things. So please stop by. It's going to be a good forum. I'm not going to say a debate, but a good forum. And then, what we're really gearing up to for Juneteenth and all of these activities that are going to be surrounding the month of June. On June 2nd, for the first time in Alaska, we're hosting the Corrine Davis Graham Cancer Telethon, and that's going to be at the Wendy Williamson. And we know all of us have been touched by a family member or ourselves or whomever when it comes to cancer. And so it's an opportunity to hear from presenters and to learn some things and to be proactive. And here, this is a real, I can't even say something right now because I'll start tearing up. But anyway, we've got to do a better job when it comes to the subject of cancer in so many areas. And the Cancer Telethon is an opportunity for us to do just that. We have already engaged with Fred Hutchinson in Seattle, and we're really excited about a couple of individuals that will be here presenting. There's going to be entertainment at this forum as well, again at the Wendy Williamson on June 2nd. There's also, as we talk about Juneteenth, there's going to be a health fair on the park strip, same time as the Juneteenth celebration, but this time we are collaborating together to make it bigger and inclusive of health. We've got to do, again, a better job when it comes to our health care. And I think I'll end it there. Thanks.
Great, thank you for all those updates. Yeah, ABC is always busy. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot one other thing. Sorry. It's on June the 17th. It's the second annual Make It Monday Juneteenth luncheon. So that's going to be at the Dena'ina in partnership with the Anchorage Chamber. Thanks.
Okay, Make It Monday, what's the thing for that?
It's the Juneteenth celebration, but it's the Make It Monday.
Make It Monday, okay.
Make It Monday. You know how they have them.
Right. I heard about that Juneteenth Make It Monday thing the other day as well. That's what I was trying to capture. All righty, and then I'll just throw out in July 14th, the MLK Foundation is having their mid-year fundraiser at Shiloh Church, 4 o'clock on Sunday, July 14th. All right, any other updates?
I'll just throw it out there that tomorrow night's the 40 under 40 celebration.
Oh.
And Raleigh,
And Toffee.
Toffee and Issa.
And Issa.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
40 under 40,
Yeah.
bring me up to speed.
It's an award that the chamber gives every year, right?
Mhm.
Yep. 40 people who are under 40 years of age.
Okay.
Movers and shakers in the state, right? It's the
Okay.
whole state.
I
Or is it just Anchorage?
think it's Anchorage Chamber. Yep.
Okay, good. All right, any other updates? Thank you for that. Yes.
Just one more and then I'll be quiet. I forgot to mention that 400 Years of African American Commission is coming to Anchorage, Alaska.
Right.
And they're going to be here June 20th through the 23rd. And they are responsible for developing and carrying out activities throughout the United States. This is their first time in Anchorage, in Alaska.
Right.
Celeste, do you have a calendar of all that's happening for Juneteenth and
Actually, if you go to our Facebook page and like our
All right, any other updates? All right, not hearing any that want to share another one.
I can see where this is headed. I feel it.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the tea.
Yeah, hey. Thank you so much for all the updates, and we don't have any assembly members with us online or in-house on today, and so there are no updates there. And then wrapping it up for our next meeting and what have you, I will share this, that we have communicated with Junior relative to meeting with the group, our committee, relative to the language access auditing and questions that we may have, and indicated that we would also like to know, Joan, who the liaison for that group is and all of that, so they have that information. And they requested him and whoever he would like to bring to assist him from the audit department, if not the lead person or what have you. And so he's committed to being in our next meeting. He couldn't make this meeting, but he's committed to being in the May meeting. And so we'll be able to follow up with him being relative to the audit and get the information that we seek prayerfully. Yeah, and so that's next meeting. And hadn't heard anything come up out of our meeting that we need to address to the assembly or any other actions to be completed before next meeting. And I would ask again, are we going to attempt between now and then to make some inroads to see what the calendar for the health department might be for having some representatives meet with us?
Yep, actually, that's something I wanted to ask about. So Junior's gonna come next meeting, and we can talk about language access. Would it also be appropriate to ask him about the welcoming certification at that meeting?
Well, I wouldn't see why not.
Seems-
But I would think that he probably would need to be communicated with in advance
Yeah,
to be prepared for that as well.
yeah,
And so we can do that.
okay, so we'll send him a few questions.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to let the committee know that my son is graduating from high school and my family's going on a big trip. So we'll be gone from May 24th to June 24th. So I'll be here for the May 23rd meeting, but our June meeting falls on the 27th, so I'll be back by then too. So I'm not gonna miss a meeting, but I won't be here for the time between those two meetings. So in terms of the health department, do we want to, because I think what we had talked about doing, what we understood and what I haven't done yet was we were gonna have a kind of more, smaller group conversation with them first. Just, we don't want them to come here and feel like we're gonna grill them, right? So we wanted to do a little hello with them first, right? Okay, and then have them come. So I can try and do that before I leave, and then we can schedule them for June if that's what the committee wants to make happen.
I'm sorry, clarification, so you wanna have them here twice?
No. I think what we had all talked about would be, it'd be nice to, and maybe this was in our small group meeting, but just to have a conversation with them about here's our annual plan, here's our, here's what we're interested in before they actually come to the committee meeting. We don't have to do it that way, but I thought that's what we talked about. Maybe
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
it was
remembering right.
Joan or Hannah that was talking about.
Yes.
Really, we should bring them on with what can we do to help
Exactly.
support you.
That's what I'm trying to get.
And not bring them in here and potentially even give them questions ahead of time. If they're
Right.
gonna ask questions, we need to have those so they have time to be thoughtful about them, or so that it doesn't feel like we're just coming after them, but we're like, we wanna work in conjunction with you.
Exactly. That's
How
what I'm
can we
trying to
help? Yeah.
get. Yes.
Yeah, I think we did have that discussion, but my recollection of it was not that we'd have a meeting before the meeting.
Maybe it's more a conversation with them or just an email or. Joan, can you jump in here? What do you think would be useful to make sure when they come to our committee meeting, it can feel collaborative, like you were saying?
this?
Well, I think that maybe the first thing is to let them know that, hey, we're here, and as Lori was saying, maybe even like send them a few questions before they come here so they don't feel like they're on the spot answering stuff. I guess that we can do it either way, like a smaller committee, or if everyone is interested, because if I remember correctly, this was the most voted issue. So we can bring them here or just do a smaller meeting, whatever you think is better.
Well, my thought on it, and this is just me, yeah, everybody has a thought, but my thought on it is that if we were to give them questions prior to them coming or whatever, and if somebody who were in the meeting had other questions, then it could always be that, well, I didn't prepare for this or that or the other or what have you. But my thought on it was that in general, during our meeting is when we would lay out with them the fact that we're looking to collaborate and cooperate and deal with whatever we need to deal with, and what our vantage point is as it relates to equity and that kind of thing throughout the scope of the health department. Not specifically, unless we narrow it down ourselves, specifically targeting, this, that, and the other, but just overall, the willingness to collaborate and cooperate to make it more equitable throughout all of their processes. And we kind of, laying that framework out or whatever, and if someone had questions that they wanted to present to them, they would always be open to go back and get information and then come back, because this is an annual thing for us this year with the health department. So I don't think there's a need to short circuit it or narrow it down, because this is our priority for the year. And so we can have a back and forth collaboration with them going forward.
So that all sounds great to me. We did work on that document that we looked at last, or maybe 2 meetings ago now. And we did kind of brainstorm some goals. So I guess 2 questions. One, should we invite Director Rash and maybe Tamaya? Are those the 2 people we want to invite, given that we want that kind of broad over, we want to engage across the whole department?
I would give the director the prerogative to bring with them whoever they wanted to bring,
Okay.
Relative to the meeting, and not narrow it down to any persons. That would be up to them.
Okay, so just invite Director Rash, and then do people, and I see Joan's got her hand up too, but should we just go ahead and send that document with the invite or request for her to come to our meeting?
When you say document, which document?
The one that we worked on, where it's kind of all the health departments, and then we worked on kind of our goals for our engagement with them.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
well, so I'm thinking, because I'm reflecting on what Lori shared, and Joan, I guess, about giving them the questions and all of this stuff before they get here so that they can prepare and get all of the answers, and so that I'm just like, I think, personally, never mind, no comment.
Okay, Joan?
Yeah, on going back to what Pia was saying about who should we invite, I also think that we should invite the head of procurement, because there's a lot of things that, at least for what I've seen, they try to communicate, but I don't know how well good that communication is. And I think that if we want to ask questions or learn about it, we need to have them as well, because the processes for grants, for example, they have to go to procurement. And one of the main issues that the health department is having right now is procurement taking too much time. So I think that if we invite the health department, we should invite them as well.
Joan, I would just maybe propose that we invite Director Rash and have that bigger conversation first, and then, you know, once we're like, yes, we want to work together, then we, you know, move to the procurement. And part of it is the timing. You know, we don't know what's going to happen with the mayoral race, but we might have a different procurement director starting in July potentially. I mean, I guess we could have a different health department director too, but anyway. So I just think maybe if we could start with her and then go down that road at a future meeting.
Yeah, sounds good. I just want to put it out there because I know they go hand by hand, especially when it comes to funding and grants. I think that we shouldn't overlook procurement. That's all.
Yeah, to follow up on that, I think with the invite to the director of the health department, I mean, it would be necessary, I would think, to give a broad overview of what our committee is about, representing what we're doing, that kind of thing, prior to inviting them in without giving them specific. But once we entertain this meeting, I think that would be the time for us to really expand upon what kind of work we want to do with that group, and share a little bit more about that, and have the inroads, the ground broken, and all of that, and then move forward to where we need to go from there. Is kind of what I think about it.
I was going to say faster. Okay. You know, you bring up a good point, Thea, that the election is right around the corner. And everybody could change positions. And that's only like, what, 2-3 months away? Why not just wait until after the election to do this work? Is there a need to rush?
Well, my thought on that is, and that's a pertinent point, and a lot of things are going to shift probably at least by July or whatever, with new inroads being made administratively, and health department could change as well, all of that. But I don't think that we should hold back on starting to break ground, because even if the director changes, there'll still be workers in the health department manning those departments. That'll be part of the work. And the other side of it is, this is our annual work for the year, and the year's almost half gone. And so we at least need to get it started. It's kind of what I'm thinking. And at least somebody will be able to wear, even if the director changes, they would be able to make the shift with the incoming director or whatever about what's going on with this, and then we have an opportunity to interact with them as well. But I don't think we should put the work on hold, because we're essentially going into half a year already, and this was our annual decision to work on this. And that's just my thinking.
I hear you. I'm also wondering, though, this is a different topic, but on the budget, you know, we were talking about requesting some funding.
And the spring section that we were supposed to do that in has kind of jumped on us, and we're behind the 8 ball with that. As far as that window we had for the spring, I think that was April. And so we kind of jumped on that, so now we're looking at the next budgeting process.
Yeah, although the budgeting process starts in July, like in the administration, where they start to develop the budget. So I think
that's for the next cycle.
Yeah, so I think that actually, I guess I agree with Pastor May that I think even though we might have some transitions, it would be good to start in June. And I think honestly, that would be a good way to start the conversation about what funding allocations do we want to see, and have that built into the budget. Because April is just when they do amendments, but, you know, in July is when they start actually designing the budget.
Right, and so that was my point, we missed the April window, and
Yeah.
so we're in the next budgeting cycle
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm clear, so I'm inviting Director Rash. It sounded like we should send the charter of our committee, so she knows kind of what we're about. She can get it online if she wants to.
If you like.
Okay, but should we send the document we worked on?
Yeah.
So that she has an idea of what we're interested in doing?
Laura?
I think if we send it, it's a draft or.
Yeah, it's super draft.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
just put that process, super drafting. Because it isn't quite a document I would be putting out as like,
Yeah.
this is our plan or
No.
anything. It's
Yeah.
just, here's sort of the information we're working off of,
Yeah.
maybe.
Is there any objections to that, or do you, or any?
Any other thoughts on that? Anyone have any? Joan?
I just have a question. Should we also invite Maya? Or just the head of the department?
Yeah, I asked that question too, Joan, but I think Pastor May said, and I think he's right, that if we invite the director, then she can bring, you know, who she thinks is useful to bring.
Okay.
And we can even encourage it, say, please feel free to bring.
Yes, usually if they cut the head of departments, they don't cut the rest of the staff, so then they will have information of what we're, trying to communicate to them.
Right, and that's what I was speaking to a minute ago. And but anyway, I do think we need to start the process and whatever, since you're gonna be doing the inviting, I would give you the leeway to share what information you feel necessary to get them to come to the meeting. All right, any other commentary? Yes.
It's a different topic.
Got that.
I just wanted to also put on the radar, so it's April right now. In August, according to our charter, we elect new co-chairs.
Oh my God.
And, yeah, I know, and in our charter, we said that co-chairs couldn't serve for more than 2 years, so this committee needs 2 new co-chairs, according to the charter. So it's April now, just think it'd be something we wanna think about and be kind of getting ready for.
Good point.
We can amend a charter.
I was about to say relative to that, there's always an option, there's always an option to do that.
This is a,
But
become
then,
president for life.
hey, that's always an option to do that.
Sorry.
But there's also a yay-to-day aspect to that. Accepting to do so.
We can make exceptions as we're new and developing, so it wasn't quite 2 full years.
Yeah, but good bring up on that, yeah, 'cause that's coming up as well. All righty, and I think our annual review is, because I think the last time we visited, and according to the charter, after we did those workups on it, then after that, it would be an annual review. So I think the annual time is coming up anyway.
It's
Isn't
in
it?
August, but
Is
I
it
can check.
August?
Yeah, I think we do those in August.
Yeah, I think it's coming up in August. And so that's there as well. Yes, ma'am.
And we used to have a lot of interest from the assembly, and it feels like that's dwindling. Do we have any information on that? Or should we be concerned at all, or should we just assume they're trusting us?
My assumption on that is we've had interest and participation when it was something that they wanted to kind of bring up, so to speak, and they would show up for that or whatever. And outside of that, we pretty much had feelings. And even to that, I'll even say so, even to that, Cameron has not really given a whole lot of participation after being the main initiator of the whole deal. And but Felix has been steady with us, and I don't know if he's out of the city or have another meeting going on or what have you, but he's normally here every meeting. And then relative to our minute agenda, maybe he saw an opportunity to not, have an out for today, and so I would not hold that against it either. And but I think they generally come when they have something that they want to address. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking back to what we heard when we had our work session in January, and I think this committee obviously is really different from all the other committees, and we don't fit in the same way as, there are other ones do, where the committee is the place where they kind of, they craft resolutions and ordinances and bring them, and then those get passed at the main assembly meeting, but a lot of the work happens here, because they're able to work together in a committee setting. So yeah, I think it's not quite clear to them how we fit. Yeah.
But they have come when it was something they wanted
Yes.
to run by us
Yeah.
or get on our
Yeah.
antennas, agenda, and thought processes geared
Yeah.
toward, then they stop me in or what
Yeah,
have you.
and that seems like one role, yeah.
That's kind of why I'm putting it out there, is I wonder, as we focus what it is as a committee we wanna focus on, did that impact how they, feel about interacting with us?
No, I was gonna simply say, personally, I think not, but I do
Yeah.
think that when we have, some interactions, committee-wise that would, favor or necessitate some responses from their various assignments relative to their committees, on the assembly, what have you, I think we would hear from them.
And in addition to that, if there are issues that we're concerned about, we know where they are. And once they know that they're a hot button for us, they're on top of it with us. And I think it's okay if they miss a meeting or two, especially when it's a down time. But on those high points, they'll definitely be here. I mean, we've seen it.
And I was just simply gonna say, follow piggyback on that, that was one of the reasons that, a couple of meetings ago, I, asked the attorney that was present, Matthew, that was present, here and there in our meetings, the definition of a liaison, and that was in reference to the audit thing, but it was also in reference to liaison in general. And, so I guess I'm saying that to say that either of the assembly members or neither of the assembly members are required to be at this particular meeting. As, if we have stuff that we need to interface with them, then they're a liaison, so to speak. But I'm grateful to Felix for always being present, because, stuff arises that we need to ask, and he's there to answer, and, which is good. And so, but it's not a requirement on their part to be at this particular meeting. Mara?
Well, you just clarified a lot for me with that last comment, but I was wondering if it would be worth it just to reach out to Cameron and say, are you ever coming back? Or something like that. Because he participated in the strategic planning and the initiation of this. I think it would feel better to have some more steady assembly presence from the co-chair or the chair or whatever his title is on this.
Liaison, yeah.
But I would also defer to your point about they don't need to be here, so.
Yeah, I'm just simply saying it's not a requirement, so, but we don't have any issue with their presence. Like I said, I'm thankful for Felix always kind of being here or whatever. And yes, ma'am.
I think one way we could interact and get that engagement maybe that we're looking for is, like, for example, if we're gonna focus on the health department does report to the health policy committee each month. And so we could decide, while that's our priority, that one of us should be present at those meetings and maybe invite it's Daniel and who's the other co-chair of that? Maybe, is it Karen Braga? Like, we could invite them to come to some of our meetings, especially when, like, even when in June, when we have the health department come, we could invite those co-chairs to come, so we're kind of all talking at the same time. And similarly, when we talk about procurement and some of the other, grants and contracting issues that we've talked about, I'm not quite sure I guess it would maybe be the budget committee. Jasmine, which of the assembly committees would be dealing with like procurement and those types of issues?
Through the co-chair, I'll have to get back to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really I think it may be budget.
Probably budget.
Yeah, and that's where we can get Anna to come. So I wonder if we could sort of just step up our engagement in that way, more around the topics that we're focused on at particular meetings. Like the next meeting when we're gonna have Junior here, is there a committee, other assembly committee that we should invite to be here, or a particular assembly member, other than Felix, obviously, who's interested in that issue?
Yeah.
Both of them, Felix and Cameron. I mean, they're the ones that put this group together. So, equity.
Yeah, and to your thought, Thea, relative to that, and since the health department answers, so to speak, to the health policy committee directly, then a representative from that particular committee probably would need to be a part of it. So as we make our points and work toward equity and all of that, and the things that are addressed, they would be on the ground floor relative to what we're trying to accomplish. So I think that would be good as well. And then relative to those other things that relate to other committees, we might want a representative in when we're dealing with that, even though it relates to the health department. We'll have both of you represented from each group. But then you mentioned Felix and Cameron. Cameron was the initiator for this group. That's why I wrote it up. And then it kind of seemed like Felix kind of overtook it and stayed with it. I mean, he had co-signed on it from the beginning, but he kind of took it and just stayed with us, so to speak. And yeah, both of them being involved in it is good as well. But I would say more so than that, and rather than taxing them with the oversight of what we're doing, to have the persons that are involved in the process in the meeting, at least from the health policy committee, since the health department, you say, reports directly to them. So I think that would be good. All right. Anyone else with any inputs, insights, or whatever before we move on to our non-audience participation? Yes,
Real
ma'am.
quick, through the chairs, the co-chairs for health policy are Daniel Holland and Karen Baca.
Okay.
I have,
Right, yes.
what in the world is happening with Cuddy Park?
I second that question.
Anybody have an answer?
Well, I know that they're trying to abate people out of the archive site right now. And that there's a concert supposedly being planned for May 11th and then another one in early June. And then, I don't know, Celeste, if you meant Cuddy as inclusive of the archive site, but then apparently they're gonna sell the archive site too for development, which I think has always been on the list, but it's definitely a site for people who are unhoused.
And I think they were trying to my understanding, to get people out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which can impact on other parts of our community for sure. Because when this has happened in the past, that's when Third and Ingra happened. And nobody was happy with that.
Okay. All right, anything else, anyone? All right, we have no audience participation to my knowledge. And,
Did you want to take a break from note writing and say anything? I know
Oh.
you take notes.
No, I'm good with that.
You're okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
Harley, do you have any questions, commentary for your notes?
No, I think that was a good
You all
experience.
good?
No, I'm good now.
You all good? Okay, well, hearing nothing else, we thank you for your participation on this evening. Enjoy the rest of your day.